it's funny because I mean EastEnders is mostly about people shouting at each other and
Get
being
out of
horrible
our pub.
and being horrible to each other, and yet the actors themselves are all lovely to each other. So just you know.
Perhaps they spend so much time being horrible to each other in scenes, they think in their personal life we've got to cheer ourselves up. But,
Well, exactly.
yeah.
But well, yes, exactly. It's quite, yeah. I mean, it's interesting the way it's shot because it's how television started. Because when I started in live television, actually, where it was actually live, you were watching it as we were doing it. And the first 3 or 4 or 5 televisions I did in the early 60s were live television. Then live television went into taping it. But what they used to do was they did it with 4 cameras. So you had cameras because, you know, obviously if they're shooting it all in one go, they have to have cameras at every angle. But that's how EastEnders shoot it. This is how they managed to do so much filming in a day. Because they have 4 cameras, you always have to be alert that you could be filmed at any time. Because how they do most things is that they'll shoot one side and then they'll shoot the other. So they'll be on my close-ups on one side and then over the shoulder of the other person. But when I've already got my camera there, so therefore all the time that they're shooting the other person as well, they're also shooting me. So you've got to be on the ball all the time, and literally even in rehearsals, although they don't shoot the rehearsals, but they give you a couple, but then they start, so you never know which one they're going to use. So but I like that way of working because you're not waiting around for so long. I mean, it's actually a really nice, in terms of enjoyment. I mean, obviously feature films are not done that way, and they spend more time setting it up and lighting. But I mean, they've got all the lighting worked out and sorted out anyway because they've got all the sets there, so they don't have to bother to they don't have to set up new lighting all the time because if they've got the Queen Vic, they've got the lighting already.
Yeah, they know
it's
cued, it's ready. Yeah.
So they can do it, but so for the actor, it's actually really rather lovely working at that speed because you're actually not sitting around; you're actually doing the work all the time. Well, I love theatre because that is my great love. I mean, that's why I came into this profession because there's nothing like the live buzz of a live audience. I mean, it is absolutely. I mean, it's exhilarating and exciting, and it's hard and it's frightening. Much more frightening because if you go wrong, there's nothing, you can't go back and you can't stop and do it again. So there'll always be a great love of theatre in my heart, and I still do a lot of theatre. I mean, I never stop, and I wouldn't want to stop. I mean, I want to be able to go on doing theatre as long as I can. But that doesn't mean to say I don't love doing films and television as well, and I do. And I think what's lovely is to be able to go from one to the other.
Yeah, it gives
I mean,
you
it was
variety.
great when I was asked to do EastEnders, and the first contract was to do at least 9 episodes, and I did 11. But they already knew I had to stop for a month because I was doing my play, and then they asked me to do more. And I was really, it was really lovely to do that, and then come back to doing EastEnders, and then I did a film, and now I will be coming back into EastEnders, and I'm sure there'll be more theatre this year as well. So basically, I love the variety. It's Stephen Burkoff. Well, he's a complex man. He's a friend, and I'm very fond of him. He's a difficult man to work with, and he, it was hard. It was a baptism of fire the first time. I thought, I don't think I can cope with this. I can't cope. I'm not going to do this again. And then I didn't for a few years, and then he wooed me back again, and then I did constantly work with him over another sort of 15 years, really. But I love the work that I did with him. He wrote some amazing plays, and we did some amazing stuff together. He wrote a play called Decadence for him and I to do together, and that was an amazing piece. We did that twice in the West End, once at Wyndham's and twice at the Arts, and then in different parts of the world. But then I've done lots of, I've done Shakespeare with him. I've done Hamlet. I played Gertrude. I did a Coriolanus with him. I've done his modern plays, Greek, and then Metamorphosis, his Kafka stuff, and The Trial. I mean, a great variety, and it's all wonderful. He's a very clever director, and he's a very clever. The Sadista Sisters. Yeah, we were pre-punk, a pre-punk band, and in fact, Dave Stewart joined us for a while before he did the Eurythmics. Yes, he did one tour with us, and he wrote some of the music. We had an album out, and we fought and sort of bust up before we could do the second album, but we did have one, and we toured a lot in Germany and in France and places like that, and all over England. But we were quite successful for about 3 years. Well, we were very successful, and we were 4 girls. We were an all-girl band. Well, then to begin with, there were 8 of us because the musicians were female as well. But then the record company picked us up, and then those girls. There weren't so many female musicians who really wanted to dress up and be sort of kind of crazy as well as play music. They were more worried about playing their music, so they sort of dropped out, and then we had a mixture. We had girls and guys in the band, but there were four main Sadista sisters. And we were, you know, we started off in a small way that it was almost cabaret theatre. And we worked at the Arts and at the King's Head and all sorts of places. Then the record company saw us in the Rainbow Room, which is above Derry and Tom's. It's still there. It's the garden. There's a garden in Kensington, where it was a big nightclub anyway. But we worked there. But then we started to go into the rock concerts as well, and we played Reading Festival. 30,000 people in amongst the heavy metal bands. So I don't know what the Sadista Sisters were doing there. So we became more of a rock band. But it was great. I enjoyed those few years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've been very lucky to have